You touch anything in that car, and my lawyers will bury you. The voice came sharp through Ethan Walker's phone before he could even say hello, cold enough to make the grease on his knuckles feel like ice. He pulled the phone away, glanced at the unknown number, then back at the wreck sitting under the fluorescent lights of his garage. Rain tapped against the metal roof in restless bursts while an air compressor hissed somewhere in the back. "Ma'am," Ethan said evenly, wiping his hand on an old shop rag, "your car got towed here." "I'm just doing my job." The woman on the other end went silent for half a breath. Then came four clipped words. "Do not open it." The line went dead. Ethan stared at the screen, jaw tight. Across the garage, 8-year-old Lily sat at the front desk coloring with a box of broken crayons, her blonde curls falling into her eyes. She looked up. "Mean customer?" she asked. Ethan gave the ghost of a smile. "Something like that." Lily squinted toward the wrecked black Mercedes. "It looks expensive." "It is." She went back to coloring. "Rich people are weird." The car had come down from the canyon an hour earlier, front end crushed from a guardrail impact, windshield webbed with cracks like frozen lightning. No blood. No fatal wreck. Whoever drove it had walked away. Ethan grabbed a flashlight and leaned into the driver's side, the cabin smelling faintly of leather, rainwater, and expensive perfume. Something felt off. Not the damage. The silence. Cars told stories. This one felt like it was holding its breath. As he loosened a warped dashboard panel, something resisted beneath it. Tape. Deliberate. His fingers slowed. Tucked deep behind shattered trims sat a small leather-bound journal, worn at the corners, wrapped in clear packing tape as if someone had hidden it to survive impact. Ethan froze. The woman's voice echoed in his head. "Do not open it." "Dad?" Lily's sneakers squeaked closer. "What is that?" He should have turned away. Put it in a bag. Wait for pickup. Instead, he stared at the journal like it had been waiting for him. One bad habit grief had never taken from him was curiosity. His late wife used to laugh and say he could never leave broken things alone. The thought hit hard enough that his chest tightened. For 1 second, he saw a hospital room, heard a monitor, smelled antiseptic. Then it vanished. Lily tugged his sleeve. "Dad?" He exhaled and peeled back the tape. The first page opened with neat handwriting. "If you're reading this, I failed." The garage went still. Even the rain seemed quieter. Ethan read the sentence again, slower this time, as if the meaning might change. It didn't. Lily leaned in, nose wrinkling. "Failed what?" He didn't answer. A second line waited below. "Please don't tell them who I really was when I wrote this." Ethan's heartbeat turned heavy. From the front office, the small television murmured through a business news segment. Lily's head snapped toward the screen first. "Dad?" she whispered. Ethan looked up. On the TV, a woman in a navy blazer stood before reporters, sharp-eyed, composed, untouchable. The caption below her name read, "Naomi Sterling, CEO, Sterling Motion." Lily looked from the screen to the diary in Ethan's hands. Then back again. Her small voice barely rose above the rain. "Dad, why is the lady from the car crying if she's smiling? Why would a woman powerful enough to command lawyers beg a stranger to burn a diary instead of taking it back?" That question stayed with Ethan long after the news segment ended. The television glow faded across the front office while rain dragged silver lines down the garage windows. Lily climbed onto the stool beside him, hugging her coloring book to her chest. "Dad?" she asked, voice small. "Did she do something bad?" Ethan looked at the diary in his hands. The leather felt warm now, almost human. "I do not know," he said. "Then why is she scared?" Lily asked. Ethan had no answer for that either. He should have closed it. He knew that. Instead, he turned the page. The next entry was dated 6 months earlier. "Today I fired 300 people before lunch. One of them cried. I watched him cry and felt nothing. I think that scares me more than the crying." Ethan's brow tightened. This was not the voice from television. On screen, Naomi Sterling had looked carved from steel, the kind of woman who made billion-dollar decisions without blinking. But the woman writing these pages sounded exhausted. Hollow. Like someone standing in a warm house while freezing inside. He turned another page. I smiled on camera again today. No one noticed I had not slept in 51 hours. Lily slid closer until her shoulder touched his arm. Is she sick? Maybe, Ethan said. With what? He stared at the page. Something doctors cannot fix. The words left his mouth before he thought about them. They landed heavier than he expected. For a moment he was not in the garage anymore. He was back in that hospital corridor, coffee gone cold in his hand, hearing a nurse say his name too softly. Ethan shut the diary. Hard. Metal clinked somewhere near the lifts as the building settled into evening silence. He rubbed his face with both hands. Daddy? He lowered them. Lily's green eyes searched his. Children did not miss much. You went away again. Ethan froze. What? She curled one crayon between her fingers until it snapped. Sometimes you do that. Her voice stayed quiet. Honest. You look at me, but you are somewhere else. His chest tightened in a place words never reached. Before he could answer, his phone buzzed across the desk. Unknown number. Again. He answered. This is Ethan. Silence. Not empty silence. Breathing. Then her voice came, lower this time. You read it. Not a question. Ethan leaned back in the chair. A little. How much? Enough. Another pause. Rain tapped harder overhead. When she spoke again, the ice was gone. In its place was fatigue. Did you read the last page? Ethan looked down at the journal. No good. The relief in that single word unsettled him more than her threats had. He stood and walked toward the wrecked Mercedes. Broken glass glittered under shop lights like frost. Miss Sterling, do not call me that. He stopped. A beat passed. Then, almost reluctantly, she said, Naomi. It changed something. Not much. But enough. Ethan rested one hand on the damaged hood. You should come get this. No. The answer came too fast. Too sharp. Why not? Her breathing hitched. Then came the strangest thing she had said yet. Because if I see that diary again. She stopped. Ethan waited. Her voice dropped to a whisper so thin he almost missed it. I might remember who I used to be. Why would someone fear remembering more than dying? Ethan did not sleep much after that call. By sunrise, pale October light stretched across the garage floor in long gray bands, catching dust and old oil stains like ghosts that never left. The diary sat on his workbench beside a half-drunk mug of black coffee, unopened now, but impossible to ignore. Lily shuffled in wearing dinosaur pajamas and one sock. She climbed onto a stool and stared at it. Did she call again? Ethan tightened a bolt on the Mercedes without looking up. Yes. Lily tilted her head. Is she still mean? He almost smiled. Less mean. Lily considered that. That means she is sad. School drop-off came with cold air and backpack zippers. Ethan watched Lily run toward the elementary school doors, then stop halfway. She turned and ran back. Her small arms wrapped around his waist so fast he barely caught his breath. Come back today, okay? She said into his jacket. Ethan frowned. I always come back. Lily pulled away. Her freckles stood out in the morning chill. I know. I just wanted to hear you say it. Then she ran inside. Those words stayed with him all morning. At noon he gave in. He opened the diary again. Several pages were torn out. Not missing by accident. Clean edges. Removed carefully. Then he found a page with a pressed wildflower flattened between paper. The petals had faded to pale lavender. Under it, one sentence. She said wildflowers only grow where things break first. Ethan stared. Who was she? Not Naomi. Someone else. His thumb moved lower. I promised her I would not become my father. I lied. The shop bell rang. Ethan snapped the diary shut. A woman stood in the doorway. Tall. Dark wool coat. Chestnut hair pinned back. No makeup. No cameras. No assistants. But he knew her instantly. Naomi Sterling looked nothing like the woman on television. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically. Human. Her eyes landed on the diary. Then on him. Then on the coffee mug beside it. You read more. Again, not a question. Ethan set the diary down. You came. Rain had stopped outside, but water still dripped from the roof in steady taps. Naomi stepped inside slowly, her heels quiet against concrete. Her gaze moved across the garage, tool cabinets, old posters, the half-restored Mustang in the corner. Then she saw something else. A child's drawing taped to the fridge. 3 stick figures holding hands. One had yellow hair. Naomi froze. Her voice changed. Your daughter drew that? Yes. A pause. Then she asked the strangest question yet. Why 3? Ethan stared at her. What? She kept looking at the drawing. Why did she draw 3 people, when there are only 2 of you? Before Ethan could answer, a small voice came from behind him. Because families can grow. Lily stood in the office doorway, back from school early, clutching her backpack straps. She looked at Naomi with fearless curiosity. Then she asked, in the plain, honest way only an 8-year-old could, Are you the lady who forgot who she used to be? What kind of woman flinched at a child's question more than at a lawyer's threat? Naomi did not answer Lily right away. The silence stretched between them, thin and trembling. Water dripped from the roof outside, each drop hitting the gravel with a soft tick. Naomi's eyes stayed on Lily, but something in her expression had changed. The sharp edges were still there. They just looked tired now. Lily adjusted one backpack strap and stepped closer. I did not mean to be rude, she said. I just wanted to know. Naomi let out a breath that almost sounded like a laugh, except there was no humor in it. No, she said softly. That was a fair question. Ethan watched her carefully. This was not the woman from television. Not the woman from the phone call either. Her shoulders had dropped half an inch. Her guard had not disappeared, but it was slipping. Lily pointed at the diary on the workbench. Is that why you hid your book? Naomi's jaw tightened. I did not hide it. Ethan spoke before he could stop himself. You taped it inside your dashboard. Naomi turned to him. That is hiding. A beat passed. Then Naomi did something Ethan had not expected. She walked to the old Mustang in the corner. Dust softened the blue paint. Missing trim. Unfinished engine. For years untouched except for maintenance. Her fingertips hovered above the hood but did not touch it. You still have not finished it, she said. Ethan went still. How do you know what it is? Naomi finally touched the metal. Gentle. Like memory. My father had one. Her voice flattened. Before he sold it. That single sentence carried more weight than it should have. Lily moved beside Naomi and studied the car. Dad says he will fix it someday. Naomi kept staring at the Mustang. Someday is a dangerous word. The garage fell quiet. Ethan felt irritation rise before he understood why. You do not know anything about this car. Naomi turned. You are right. Her eyes lifted to his. But I know something about keeping broken things close so you do not have to decide whether to repair them or bury them. The words landed hard. Too precise. Too close. Before Ethan could respond, Naomi reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a folded photograph. She placed it on the workbench beside the diary. 3 girls stood in summer grass, barefoot, laughing into sunlight. One was Naomi. One looked younger. The third girl had wildflowers woven into her hair. Lily picked up the photo carefully. Who is she? Naomi's eyes fixed on the girl with flowers. Her lips parted, but no sound came at first. When she spoke, her voice had lost all steel. She is the reason I wrote that diary. Ethan looked at the photograph, then at the pressed flower inside the journal. His stomach tightened. The wildflower. Same petals. Same lavender color. He looked back at Naomi. Who was she? Naomi swallowed. Outside, tires crunched over gravel. A black SUV stopped near the garage. Naomi's face drained of color. Her voice dropped to a whisper. She found me. Lily Fr. Who tells someone they were not supposed to survive unless survival ruins a plan? The woman's words hung in the garage like cold smoke. Lily instinctively moved behind Ethan, small fingers gripping the back of his flannel shirt. Naomi did not move at first. She looked less afraid than resigned, as if some version of this moment had been chasing her for years. The newcomer stepped farther inside, heels clicking softly against stained concrete. Her silver blonde hair was pulled into a severe knot, every detail controlled. Her eyes landed on the photograph, then the diary. You left both, she said. That was careless. Naomi's voice came out rough. What are you doing here, Vivian? So this was Vivian. Ethan shifted half a step, placing himself between Lily and the stranger without thinking. Vivian noticed. Her gaze flicked to him, then dismissed him in a heartbeat. I am cleaning up another mess, she said. Like always. Lily tugged Ethan's sleeve. Dad, she whispered. I do not like her. Ethan gave the slightest nod. Neither did he. Naomi straightened. Some steel returned to her posture. Leave. Vivian ignored her. She looked at Ethan instead. You found something that does not belong to you. Ethan held her gaze. Seems like it belongs to her. Vivian's expression did not change. You have no idea what you are involved in. Ethan folded the shop rag in his hand once. Deliberate. Controlled. Then explain. For the first time, Vivian smiled. It was not warm. She has told you about her sister? Vivian asked. Naomi's face drained. No. One word. Sharp. Broken. Vivian continued anyway. 12 years ago, Naomi's younger sister died in a crash. Everyone called it a tragedy. She paused, eyes fixed on Naomi. But tragedies are accidents. That night was a choice. The air in Ethan's lungs stalled. Lily looked up, confused. What does that mean? No one answered. Naomi's hands trembled now. Barely visible. Stop. Vivian stepped closer. You want him to know why you built your empire? Why you buried yourself in work? Her voice sharpened. Tell him the truth. Naomi shook her head. No. Vivian delivered the blow with surgical calm. She was driving. Silence. The old wall clock in the office ticked once. Twice. Ethan stared at Naomi. Not because he judged her. Because everything suddenly made sense. The sleepless pages. The diary. The self-erasure. Naomi's breathing turned shallow. It was raining. She whispered. She wanted flowers. Her eyes blurred, but she kept speaking. We pulled over near the canyon because she saw wildflowers growing through cracked rock. Her voice broke. I looked away for 1 second. Lily stepped out from behind Ethan. One small step. Then another. She walked to Naomi and gently placed her tiny hand against Naomi's coat sleeve. Naomi froze. Lily's voice was soft. Plain. 8 years old? Did she die because you are bad? Naomi shut her eyes. A tear slipped free. No. The answer came from Ethan. All 3 women turned toward him. His voice was low, steady. Sometimes terrible things happen when good people blink. The words left him before he understood they were not only for Naomi. They were for himself. And for the first time in 4 years, Ethan felt the locked door inside his chest move. If Naomi had spent 12 years punishing herself, why did Vivian look less like family and more like a warden guarding a prison? The question settled in Ethan's mind as silence tightened around them. Vivian was the first to move. She reached for the diary. Naomi's hand shot forward and stopped her. Not forceful. Just final. Do not touch it. Vivian's expression hardened. That diary is evidence of instability. Lily frowned. It is a book. Vivian did not even glance at her. It is leverage. That word changed everything. Ethan's shoulders stiffened. Leverage for what? Vivian finally looked at him as if deciding whether he was worth the truth. Sterling Motion goes public with a major merger next quarter. 40,000 employees. Billions in valuation. Investors trust certainty. Her gaze slid to Naomi. Not weakness. Naomi's jaw tightened. Say it. Vivian exhaled through her nose. If the board learns their chief executive hid suicidal ideation in private journals and drove into a canyon 2 weeks before closing the largest deal in company history, they remove you by Friday. Lily's grip tightened around Naomi's sleeve. You would do that? She asked. Vivian answered without shame. I would save the company. Naomi laughed once. A small broken sound. There it is, she said. Always the company. Rain had stopped, but wind pressed cold against the garage doors. Ethan studied Naomi. The diary no longer felt like confession alone. It felt like an exit plan. Or a goodbye no one was meant to understand. Then something clicked. He looked at Vivian. You said she was not supposed to survive. Vivian went still. Ethan stepped closer. That was not about the crash. Naomi lifted her head. Neither woman spoke. Ethan's voice lowered. You meant she was supposed to disappear. The truth landed before anyone confirmed it. Vivian's silence confirmed enough. Naomi whispered, I signed transfer papers 3 days ago. Lily blinked. Transfer? Naomi swallowed. I was going to step down. Vanish. Give them what they wanted. Why? Lily asked. Naomi stared at the floor. Because I was tired. 4 words. No performance. No polished executive voice. Just exhaustion. Lily processed that with the brutal honesty only children had. When I get tired, Dad makes grilled cheese. Ethan almost laughed. Almost. Naomi looked at Lily stunned. Lily continued serious as ever. And then I take a nap. Vivian closed her eyes in irritation. This is absurd. No, Ethan said. His voice cut clean through the room. What is absurd is calling survival a liability. Vivian turned cold. You know nothing about leadership. Ethan met her stare. No. But I know something about loss. His voice changed. Softer. He looked at Naomi, not Vivian. When someone thinks disappearing makes life easier for everyone else, they are usually wrong. Naomi's breath caught. She stared at him. Really stared. As if hearing something hidden beneath the words. Then her eyes dropped to his left hand. To the pale ring mark he never talked about. The garage fell quiet again. When Naomi spoke, her voice was bare. How do you speak about the person you lost when guilt has spent years choking every honest word? Ethan did not answer right away. The old wall clock ticked behind him. Somewhere in the back of the garage, cooling metal clicked inside the Mercedes engine bay. Lily's eyes stayed fixed on him. Naomi waited without moving. Even Vivian remained silent, sensing something had shifted beyond her control. Ethan lowered himself onto a stool as if his legs had forgotten their job. My wife, he said at last. 2 words. Nothing more. But the garage felt smaller after them. Lily slowly walked to him and rested against his knee. Naomi did not look away. Ethan rubbed a grease stain across his palm, buying seconds he did not have. Her name was Hannah. Saying her name out loud felt strange, like opening a room sealed for years. She had ovarian cancer. His voice stayed even, but thinner now. By the end, we knew time was short. Wind rattled the loose metal sign outside. Ethan stared at the concrete floor. The day she died, doctors said she was fading. In and out. They told me if she woke again, it might be brief. Naomi's breathing slowed. She already knew where this was going. That frightened her. Ethan continued. That morning a customer called. His truck died on Interstate 90. He was stranded with his kid. Ethan swallowed. I told myself I would help him fast and come right back. Lily's small fingers curled into his sleeve. Dad? He closed his eyes. When I returned, Hannah had woken up. Silence. No one moved. She asked for me. His voice cracked for the first time. 3 times. The words hit the room like dropped glass. Lily stopped breathing for a beat. Naomi's hand rose to her mouth. Ethan looked at nothing. She told the nurse she had something important to say. His jaw tightened. But I was 15 minutes late. 15 minutes. Not hours. Not days. 15 minutes. When I got there, she was gone. The sentence broke in the middle. He bent forward, elbows on knees, both hands over his face. 4 years of restraint trembled. Lily climbed into his lap without asking, wrapping both arms around his neck. Her voice came wet and small. Dad, you did come back. Ethan froze. Those 5 words reached somewhere no adult had reached. He lowered his hands. Lily was crying now. You came back, she repeated, as if saying it louder might repair something ancient. You came back to Mom. And you always come back to me. Something inside Ethan gave way. Not violently. Quietly. Like ice thinning under spring sunlight. Across from him, Naomi stood motionless, tears slipping down her face. Not because his grief was bigger than hers. Because it mirrored her own prison. Vivian broke the silence. Cold. Efficient. This changes nothing. Naomi turned. It was the first time anger overtook sorrow. Yes, she said. Her voice sharpened. It changes everything. Vivian narrowed her eyes. You are emotional. Naomi stepped forward. No. I am awake. The words landed with force. She reached for the diary. Pulled it to her chest. Then looked at Vivian with a steadiness Ethan had not seen before. I am not stepping down. Vivian's composure finally cracked. You cannot be serious. Naomi's gaze hardened. For 12 years, you kept telling me survival was selfish. She drew a breath. No more. Vivian stared. Then her voice dropped into something darker. If you stay, the board will learn the truth. Naomi did not flinch. Then they learn. Vivian gave a final glance toward Ethan and Lily. Then toward the photograph. When she spoke again, the chill returned. You still do not remember the worst part of that night. Naomi went pale. Vivian turned and walked toward the door. Her final words stopped everyone cold. You were not alone in that car. Who had been in the car with Naomi, and why had 12 years of guilt buried that memory so deep she could not reach it? The garage door closed behind Vivian with a hollow metallic thud, but her final words remained, louder than the sound itself. Naomi stood frozen, the diary pressed against her chest so tightly her knuckles had gone white. Ethan rose from the stool, Lily still holding his hand. Naomi, he said carefully, look at me. She did not. Her breathing shortened. Sharp. Uneven. I was alone, she whispered. I was. But the conviction in her voice had already cracked. Lily squeezed Ethan's fingers. She looked scared. Ethan nodded once. I know. He stepped closer to Naomi. What do you remember? Naomi shut her eyes. Wind brushed dead leaves across the gravel outside. The sound seemed to pull something loose inside her. Rain, she said. My sister laughing. Another breath. Flowers. Her voice thinned. Then headlights. She stopped. Her body went rigid. Ethan saw it happen, the moment memory stopped being distant and turned physical. Naomi's free hand flew to her mouth. No. One word. Barely air. The diary slipped from her arm. It hit the floor and opened. A loose folded page slid free. Ethan bent and picked it up. Naomi stared at it like she had never seen it before. That page was not there, she said. It was torn out. Ethan unfolded it slowly. Handwriting. Same ink. Same hand. But different pressure, jagged and rushed. If you ever forget, it means he won. Ethan looked up. Who is he? Naomi's pupils widened. Then it came. Not gradually. All at once. She stumbled backward into the Mustang, breath shattering. There was someone else. Tears spilled before she noticed them. A man. Her voice broke. He was in the back seat. Lily gasped. Ethan moved closer but did not touch Naomi yet. Who? Naomi shook her head violently. I do not know. Then her face changed. Horror. Recognition. No. Her knees buckled. Ethan caught her before she hit the concrete. She clutched his jacket. He worked for my father. The words came between breaths. He handled acquisitions. Closings. Threats. She looked up at Ethan, terror stripped raw. He told my sister to stay quiet. Ethan felt cold move through him. About what? Naomi's lips trembled. My father was stealing. Silence. The garage seemed to shrink around them. Naomi continued, each word heavier than the last. My sister found documents. She wanted to go public. Her voice collapsed into a whisper. That night, he got in the car. Lily's voice came small. Was he mean? Naomi looked at her. Then nodded. Yes. Lily swallowed. That means it was not all your fault. The sentence landed with stunning force. Naomi froze. Ethan did too. A child had said in 9 words what 12 years of therapy, money, power, and punishment had failed to uncover. Not all your fault. Naomi began to cry without restraint now. Not polished tears. Not quiet ones. The kind grief drags out when truth finally breaks the lock. She gripped Ethan's jacket harder. I built everything to outrun that night. Ethan steadied her. You did not outrun it. Naomi looked at him through tears. No. His voice softened. But maybe you do not have to run anymore. 3 weeks later, the question was no longer whether Naomi would run, but whether she could remain standing once the truth stopped hiding behind money and silence. Morning frost clung to the grass outside Ethan's garage, turning every blade silver beneath the pale Montana sun. The board had learned everything. Naomi had told them herself. Her father's fraud. The coercion. The crash. The diary. She had not lost the company. She had done something far more dangerous. She had told the truth. The merger was delayed. Headlines were brutal. Stocks dipped. Analysts panicked. And yet, for the first time in years, Naomi had slept through the night. Ethan was tightening a bolt beneath the hood of the old Mustang when tires rolled over gravel. He knew the sound before he looked up. Not the Mercedes. A different car. Rebuilt enough to drive. Scarred enough to tell the truth. Naomi stepped out wearing jeans, boots, and a wool sweater instead of a power suit. No driver. No security. Just her. Lily burst through the office door so fast her backpack nearly swung sideways. She came back! She shouted. Ethan looked at Naomi. This time, he smiled with his eyes too. Naomi walked toward the garage slowly, then stopped beside the Mustang. The autumn air carried wood smoke from a nearby ranch and the faint metallic scent of cold engines. She held the leather diary in both hands. I finished it, she said. Ethan wiped his hands on a rag. The diary? No. A small smile touched her mouth. The last page. She opened it. Paper rustled in the quiet. Her voice trembled once, then steadied. I spent 12 years believing survival was a debt I could never repay. I thought suffering honored the people I lost. I was wrong. Grief does not ask us to disappear. Love does not ask us to bleed forever. The dead do not heal when the living refuse to live. Ethan's throat tightened. Naomi looked at him. Someone reminded me of that. Lily raised her hand like she was in class. That was probably Dad. Naomi laughed. A real laugh this time. Warm. Unguarded. Then Lily ran to the fridge and returned with a folded drawing. She shoved it into Naomi's hands. I fixed it. Naomi unfolded the paper. The same 3 stick figures. Only now there were 4. 1 tall man. 1 little girl. 1 woman with brown hair. And 1 woman with curly hair surrounded by tiny flowers. Naomi stopped breathing. Who is this? She whispered. Lily pointed. That is Ethan's wife. Ethan froze. Lily said it simply, because children understood things adults complicated. She is still family. Silence filled the garage. Not empty silence. Sacred silence. Naomi looked at Ethan, tears gathering. He had spent 4 years treating memory like a grave. Lily had turned it into a seat at the table. Slowly, Ethan walked to the Mustang and lifted the hood. Cold morning light touched the unfinished engine. Naomi stared. You are finally fixing it. Ethan rested 1 hand on the frame. For years this car had meant punishment. A shrine to guilt. A promise he feared finishing. Now it felt different. Not an ending. A continuation. He looked at Naomi. Then at Lily. Then at the engine. No, he said softly. The corners of his mouth lifted. I am finishing it. The distinction landed. Naomi stepped beside him. Without speaking, she set the diary on the Mustang's hood. Not hidden. Not buried. Open. The wind turned 1 page, then stopped. Lily slipped her small hand into Ethan's. He squeezed back. In the stillness, metal cooled, birds called from distant fence posts, and somewhere down the road a truck rumbled toward home. For the first time in years, none of them were running. And the broken things, still marked by impact and time, no longer looked ruined. They looked reparable.